Okay, so the third video focuses on the cosmological argument, or it could be called the argument of causation, or just to be complicated, it could also be phrased as the argument of cause and effect. So, with this one, all right, this is an area quite a lot of us have struggled with. So, let's make sure that we nail it with this video, all right? So, the first thing you need to keep in mind is this is nothing to do with William Paley, okay? This is Thomas Aquinas. Thomas Aquinas is the person proposing this theory, okay? That's the first crucial thing to remember. The other one, okay, is to remember the acronym BASS, or base, all right? Now, so B-A-S-S, because that'll help us write each one of our 4 points. So, Thomas Aquinas came up with this theory, all right? So if we ask to explain or describe how the cosmological argument shows the existence of God, we need to mention him. We also need to make sure that we mention shows the existence of God, all right? Don't just tell me the argument, tell me why it leads to a belief in God, because that's the crucial part of the argument, okay? So, the first point, okay, is the fact that you've got to say that firstly, some people believe that God is the cause of the universe because of the theory proposed by Thomas Aquinas, as it is a B, this is the B, basic feature of our world, okay? So the evidence for this is that everything in our world has a cause and effect. So you can look at the idea of a piano if you want, all right, or kicking a football. The ball moves, that's the effect. What caused that? Someone kicking it. It's got a piano. You hear the music. What has caused that? The pressing of the keys. Okay, it is a basic feature of our world. Well, if everything in our world has a cause and effect, then surely our universe does as well. God is the best explanation as the first cause because he is all-powerful. Okay, that's one reason why. There's other reasons why you can say it being the first cause, but let's establish that one from the start. Okay, now the second one is the A. Okay, is the A. All life has a cause and effect, okay? So I am here because I was caused by my parents, and they were caused by their parents, and it goes on and on and on and on and on until we get to a first point. Something had to start it all off, okay? Now, it needed a first cause. Well, God, being described as all-powerful, is that first cause. Okay, it's the best explanation for it, and Catholics believe that God is so powerful that he even caused himself. Now, it means we've got the 2 S's left, okay? So, the next one is that you can link it to the fact that even scientists agree that the world has been caused and they can't disprove God as the first cause. So scientists, naturally, all right, that most of them would be agreeing with the Big Bang Theory, okay? But where did those dust particles come from that caused the Big Bang? Now, there's not a full explanation for that, and some scientists actually refer to them as the God particles, okay? So Catholics use this, all right, use the idea of this to say, look, scientists have this theory, okay, and whilst there's a lot of evidence for it, they cannot disprove that God may have been the cause of the conditions for that Big Bang. Now, the third one, all right, the last S, I got to be honest, I think this is the worst reason on the whole exam paper, right? And it is that we had to start somewhere. Okay, now, this isn't a great sort of answer, but it is the one that can get you that final mark. So, we had to start somewhere, all right, and the idea, right, that God was the person who sort of started, what's called all of life, or caused the universe. There's lots of evidence to support it. Design, okay, you can speak about the fact what's called the creation story. You can talk about how it's established that God is the Father, and that reinforces the idea of the fact that that God is, like one of the roles of Father, obviously being a creator. So it all enforces the idea of God being the creator of the universe, right? So not a great argument, that last one, but it is one you can use. Now, if you get asked to explain why some people believe that God caused the universe, then all you do is you repeat those points. You've got to make sure that you still mention William Paley, okay? So the big thing I would do here is I would be focusing mainly on the 2 first, and the B and the A, all right? The fact that Thomas Aquinas has proposed this theory, and one of the main arguments in it is the fact that causation, cause and effect, is a basic feature in our world, so our world itself must have been caused too. right? And you talk about the evidence, the piano, the football, whatever it is you want to focus on. And then how God was called the best explanation because he's all-powerful, all-knowing, etc., okay? And so powerful he could have even caused himself. Now, the second one I would be focusing on the fact that God has caused all human being life. All right, you talk about the chain, okay, you, your parents, their parents, all the way back, all right, to a first cause. God, best explanation for this, all-powerful, all-knowing, okay? And the reason why I tell you to focus on those two is that those two are a good two to be able to argue against if this comes up as an evaluation question. So, if you have to argue against the argument of causation, right, then you can, first thing I would focus on, all right, is the fact that scientists, okay, that they would say that the world hasn't been caused by God, but instead has been caused by the Big Bang. Now, obviously we just spoke about the fact that, well, maybe God caused the conditions to the Big Bang, and that's true. But just because scientists can't disprove that God caused it, that doesn't mean that that is evidence that God did cause it. So many scientists would still say, well, no, it's just that we don't have the answer, all right? That doesn't necessarily mean that it's God. As a result of that, it could lead to atheism, could lead to the fact that they'd be more content with believing that God has nothing to do with the Big Bang, okay? Now, the final thing you can shoot down as well, all right, as the alternative side of this, is that it's to do with human life, all right, about the cause of human life. Now, if we think about this process, all right, of we were caused by our parents, their parents, all the way back to a first cause, right? Well, evolution suggests that it didn't really happen that way, all right? And they would say that the ideas enforced in the creation story of God, the creator of human life, all right, that evolution contradicts that, okay? And instead, human beings are obviously caused by their parents, okay, but at first, human beings were caused by environmental change or how they responded to that, okay? So that process, you can actually call it, if you want, blind evolution, okay? That process, they would say, has nothing to do with God, so therefore is not the cause, he is not the cause for all human life.